What's up, everybody? It's your host, the American Viking, and welcome to the now third edition of the gym vlog and lifestyle update video. This week, I wanted to cover something that has become extraordinarily apparent to me over the course of these past 3 weeks working out, and that is imbalance. Now, one of the things that if you're watching the stuff that I post on Instagram very, very closely, you'll begin to see that I have strength and weaknesses on both sides of my body. It's a little bit harder to tell in my legs, but I have a very dominant left leg, and my right leg is not nearly as defined, and vice versa for my arms. I'm much stronger in my right than I am in my left, which is, most people's problem, I believe. Some of that probably stems from my being a mechanic or mechanically inclined for, the past decade of my life. And as a mechanic, you're always going to lean towards your dominant side when you have to reach for, wrench for, or anything of that nature. So for the past 10 years, this hand, forearm, bicep, and tricep have been getting much more work than my left-hand side has. That's just regular muscle imbalance that I'm sure as I continue training and as I continue to grow and become more muscular, hopefully, that will sort itself out. However, there is a different type of imbalance that is going to be a very large struggle for me, and that's what I wanted to talk about more today. I have had quite a few injuries over the course of my life. Some of them when I was very young, some of them when I was an adult. And the most broken part of me is my collarbones. I don't know if I just have really weak collarbones or if I just happened to be in positions where those were easily broken. So I have broken each of my collarbones twice. I have 4 broken collarbones throughout my history. One of them, the worst break, was a complete snap of the collarbone. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, if you've watched the clips I've posted, you can see it looks like I'm leaning to one side. If you look really, really closely, even when I'm sitting here in this chair, you can probably notice one of my shoulders is lower than the other one. What happened is when I snapped my collarbone in half, there was realistically nothing they could do to fix the problem other than let it take its course. So what ended up happening is the bones, let me see if I can do this in a way that makes sense. The bone is supposed to be like this, right? When it snapped in half, it snapped like this and then grew toward each other before overlapping and then healing like this, okay? So this collarbone is actually longer than this collarbone is, and additionally, it is twice as thick as it should be in a specific portion of the bone. You can actually feel, I've done this before as like a party trick, you can feel my collarbone where there's a lump, a big rise in the bone where those two pieces overlapped each other. Now, what that does is makes a lot of movements that I do just a little bit more difficult than they should be. Because trying to create a level platform to lift from now becomes a challenge in and of itself because I'm not proportionate the way that I should be. I'm off kilter a bit. So especially for things like overhead press or shoulder flies or anything that where you want to be as even as possible, especially in your upper body, it becomes a little bit more difficult just because there's that imbalance there. Additionally, I've broken arms. I was in the Army for 4 years, so my knees and hips aren't quite what they used to be. 5 years, actually, I'm sorry. And so just over the course of my lifetime, there's been a lot of stuff that just makes it a little bit more difficult to do some of these movements. Now, do not take any of that as an excuse, because it's not. I just have to get back into learning how I have to adjust myself so that I can replicate the balance that I need. And as I get more and more familiar with the gym, I'm sure, that I will just naturally raise that right shoulder a little bit to match my left so that they're not as, off from each other. But injuries do take a lot. I'm sure anybody can tell you, but it makes it much more difficult. Even things that you wouldn't think would normally be tough, like flat bench press, becomes a little bit awkward because since my shoulders don't sit evenly, neither do the shoulder blades behind me. So when I'm setting in to try and make that flat platform to bench from, I always feel like I'm slightly off, which I am because legitimately one side of me sitting lower than the other. So it's very much, instead of being able to just focus on the weight and just, okay, I'm set into my position, down, up, right? I have to get set into my position, and then I have to get the weight, and I have to remember to like even myself out a little bit and hold that position that feels slightly unnatural for me because of the imbalance I've got, and then control all the way down and all the way through that movement, which control is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But it's an additional thing that I have to focus on. Instead of just, okay, squeeze, 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 which is what you want to do for muscle growth, it becomes a very, very heavy mental effort as opposed to just a physical one when you're in the moment trying to do that movement. So and this week has been a glaring indication that is still very present. I've just struggled this week, especially with my shoulder, with just kind of some discomfort, a little bit of pain. Not anything that would worry me where I have to think about taking a break from training or training in a different style or anything like that. But I think it was yesterday. So just to give you guys kind of an overview, and the reason you didn't see a post on Instagram yesterday, today is normally my rest day, and that's why I film. Today is Friday of filming and Friday of posting, and that's why I normally do the videos today, is because it's the rest day for the week, so I have the ability to kind of look back on all my workouts and look into the future of what I'm doing and kind of give you guys all of that in one sitting. This week was a little bit odd, if you guys remember, because Thanksgiving was... again, in terms of chronology of posting, Thanksgiving was in the middle of the week. And on a Thursday, which is normally a training day for me, but everything was closed, so then Friday was my training day. So I trained Friday to Thursday this week. I'm sorry, Friday to Wednesday this week, and thought about going to the gym yesterday, which would have been Thursday. But it would have ended up being 3 legs and shoulder days within a 7-day period. And I was like, man, that's just not a good idea right now. And one of the reasons I didn't go was because yesterday morning I was on this couch behind me. You can see right there. There we go. I was sitting down and reading a book, and was literally having to adjust myself every few seconds just because my shoulder was so out of whack from the most recent leg and shoulder day. Again, not because I'd hurt anything, but just like I could not find a position to leave my arm in so that it didn't cause me discomfort. And so then when it was time to go to the gym, I was like, yeah, this is another day while I will work this exact same muscle group. Maybe not a good idea right now. So I said, okay, I need to get back on my regular schedule. Thanksgiving's kind of a one-off type deal. Let me just take Thursday off, Friday off. We'll go back on Saturday. So, but again, it was just a very easily visible thing where it's unfortunate, right? Now, I'm fairly confident that this will be kind of an isolated incident because I've had similar circumstances in the past where that same flare-up happens. But then if I stay in the gym and continue to work regimented and all of those things, that works its way out. So I don't have any real fear as of right now that I've done any damage or that I am doing any damage. More just the unfortunate side effect of having been out of the gym for so long and now having to work back through some of these deficiencies so that I can get back to where I was. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, was just the hardships surrounding injuries in the past and past physical requirements of my body that are now kind of taking their toll. Additionally, I think I wanted to talk about something else, which was a conversation my partner and I had the other day. I know I've mentioned this before, but one of my biggest inspirations in this sphere is, of course, the great Christopher Bumstead, along with some of the others like Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff of that nature. And Chris Bumstead, of course, at the time of recording this video, I believe, is a few weeks out from his 4th run at the Olympia title. He's won the past 3 and is now up for 4 if he wins. So I was talking about, I think I mentioned to my partner that one of my goals was to compete against Chris Bumstead, just as a passing remark. And she goes, I thought you weren't going to compete. Because, again, that's a conversation she and I had, which I'm sure is fantastic grammatically, but that's a conversation she and I had before about I didn't really have the drive to compete in the bodybuilding sector. And I told her about an interview, I believe, that I'd heard, or a quote that I'd heard one time about having a competition to strive for keeps you motivated in a way, especially once you've competed? Is that the past tense of compete? Anyway, once you've been to a competition, circumvent that whole problem. Once you've been to a competition, even in the amateur sector, nobody likes to lose, right? It's just ingrained into our mentality. So if you put yourself into a competition sphere and you don't win, which for all of us when we do something the first time is almost a certainty of outcome, well, then you have a whole reason to continue your drive. Well, I have to be better than I was last year. I don't want to be in 7th, 8th, 9th, 12th, whatever it is. I want to be the number one. And I am an extraordinarily competitive person. Anyone in my life will tell you that is probably my largest flaw, is my competitive need. I cannot be mediocre at things. I do not know why. It is not built into me. And so if I were to go on stage and compete even one time, that competitive edge would kick in and it would take over. So the idea of competing doesn't necessarily appeal to me. The idea of getting on stage next to Chris Bumstead and being judged, that in and of itself doesn't necessarily strike a fire in me. But the idea of losing, that does. So I may try to compete at some point in the future just for that fire of I'm not going to lose again. And I think that can be a fantastic motivator for a lot of people in different areas out there. I have a goal of what I want to look like, and I don't want anything to get in the way of me achieving that goal. So giving myself an additional fire, an additional fuel to get to that goal, maintain it, and even surpass it potentially in terms of what I believe I am capable of in my own mind, that is something where I would absolutely jump on board and be 100% behind that ideal. And like I said, I'm fairly certain that is something a competition atmosphere would give me. So we'll see what's in the future. Clearly, I am nowhere near competition ready. But if that ends up being a goal, even the idea of getting to the competition will drive me to work harder, strive harder, and all of those things that create more chances for success. So those are the things I wanted to talk to you guys about this week. So now let's get into what the training and all that other stuff was like this week. Training was fairly normal. There were some tough days this week. I have not been eating tons of food. And if you guys, I believe, watched the last episode of this, you'll remember that I am stimulant free. So I have no caffeine intake at all in my days right now. No pre-workout, no caffeine-free pre-workouts or stim-free pre-workouts, nothing. I have just been raw dogging the gym and eating a very, very low amount of food, all things considered. And I didn't realize how little I was eating. I happened to come across, which you guys should definitely go check this out, a Chris Bumstead full day of eating for his Mr. Olympia prep. Watch that video. If for nothing else, some of the recipes he throws in there I hadn't even thought of before, and I was like, I'm going to try those. So shout out to him and his video for giving me some motivation on my cooking and eating habits. But I happened to watch a full day of eating for him, and he's eating 4 to 6 meals a day, I believe, a protein shake and stuff like that in there as well. And I believe those count as a meal. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble remembering exactly, but he had 3 meals, I believe, before he ever went to the gym, before he ever went to go train. And I'm on 3 meals a day, and none of them are nearly what he's consuming for his Olympia prep. So I was like, man, I am really not eating a lot of food, which makes a lot of sense because training has been tough. The weight has been heavy every day. And in previous iterations of me going to the gym, there are days when the weight is not heavy, where I just go in there and it's, I'm throwing it around as opposed to pushing it. And so my mind was like, okay, well, clearly my body needs more fuel. But also, I'm a little bit overweight at the moment. I think last I told you, if you checked out my Instagram, I'm 230 pounds. So I know that I don't need to be eating a ton of food right now because I want to lose some weight. And I know, again, it's about the quality of food as well. However, I want to say this. I'm on a very strict budget at the moment in terms of what I can spend on my food. So quality sometimes is not on the highest tier of the decision-making process around my food. Sometimes it is, okay, I need a larger quantity of food so that I don't starve to death or feel excessively hungry and end up eating something I'm not supposed to eat. So this week was a tough training week because it was heavy. The weights weren't any different than they were the past 2 weeks. They just felt like I was trying to move the whole world. So, and I mean, I ate fairly regularly, 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. No, currently I'm not doing any protein or creatine or anything like that. Like I said, I'm on a very strict budget in terms of what I can spend on food. And protein and creatine alone, that's like $100 right there. So, depending on what you get, I know. But I still made it to the gym. We did our 6-day rotation, got 2 days of everything worked in. So, we still made it. There's been progress made. It just didn't feel like a fantastic week at the gym. It felt like, I think this is now the second time this week, if you watch all of my videos, that I'll have made this reference, but it felt like Sisyphus, pushing the stone up, knowing it was going to come back down, just pushing the stone, pushing the stone, pushing the stone. It's hilarious how often I reference this one man, or myth, I should say. He might not have even been real. Who knows? Now we've gone into the history part of this episode. But no, it was a tough week. And that's okay. There will be very tough weeks. And the fact that I made it through it says a lot, in my opinion. So there wasn't anything crazy this week. We did a couple new exercises. You can check them out on the Instagram. New to my training regimen. With my training, I tend to be almost identical. And I'm sure that there are a bunch of people out there who say, oh, you got to change it up. I like to keep it the same. I like to go in and do my bench press, and then my incline press, and then my decline press, and then my chest flies, and then my chest press, and then my tricep pull downs, and then my tricep push downs, and then my dips. All the same. It's all the same. But I changed it up a little bit just because I know posting the same things on Instagram probably isn't the best way to garner new followers. So I think I did some dumbbell bench press, which I actually enjoyed. I did some dumbbell incline also this week. Not sure if I posted that one to Instagram or not. So change it up a little bit. And also, I think I might have to change the time that I go to the gym. I was going to the gym mid-morning, right before lunch, essentially, so I could come home and eat lunch after the gym. And apparently, over the past few weeks, that has just become one of the busiest times at the gym. And I try my best not to be in people's way. I know I'm the pariah. Nobody wants to see the guy with the tripod trying to film his sets and his workouts and stuff like that. That's annoying to everybody. It was annoying to me before I did it. So I know exactly how it makes other people feel. How it can make other people feel. So I was intentionally going to the gym at this time of the day because it was very, very empty. There'd be like 2 or 3 people in the weight room, excluding myself. So I could always position the camera and the tripod and all that in a way that didn't interfere with their workouts. But now, the weight room's packed. And I don't know if it's because of the holiday season. There's a bunch of people off from work. And so they're all like, oh, well, let's go to the gym in the morning instead. And so they come when I go. But I may have to go to the gym at a different time. Because, again, I don't want to have to be in the gym for 2.5 hours because I'm waiting on equipment that I need to use. That's number one. Number two, I'm not going to try to work in with somebody if I'm recording a set because that's really rude to the other person. Like, hey, can I work in with you? Also, can I record my set? Like, that's just too much to ask a random person at the gym. And also, I don't want people to be uncomfortable thinking that I've caught them on camera if they don't want to be, right? Not everybody wants to be on camera. I understand it's a public space and all of those things and the right to privacy, yada, 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 all that stuff. But I don't want to make anybody's life more difficult. I also don't want to ruin their gym experience as much as I can. I mean, I'm going to do what I need to do, but I don't want to degrade their gym experience to the point where they start thinking they don't want to go. Everybody deserves to have their own fitness journey. So, again, I may have to start going at a different time just because all of those things factor in to when I should go to the gym so that I'm interfering with as few people as possible. So that's kind of the gym update for the week, the gym vlog for the week. Oh, also, the other thing that I want to mention in this, just because it's hot news when I recorded it, for those of you in the fitness industry know how. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Derek from moreplatesmoredates.com, but he's a legend. The dude is light years smarter than I will ever be. Honestly, I love his content. I love seeing him on podcasts and stuff like that. But some of his videos I can't watch because I cannot understand the information he is giving me. That is the depth of knowledge difference between Mr. Derek and myself. However, there was a video of his that came out about the great Liver King and leaked emails about steroid use and all this other stuff. And as I was scrolling through social media the other day, I see a screenshot of a video posted on YouTube by the Liver King saying I lied. Now, that is all of the information I have. I have not read articles or watched the videos or anything of that nature. But what it appears is that Derek caught this dude, and in some way, shape, or form, the Liver King had to come out and apologize, which is hilarious and terrible all at the same time because, one, everybody who talked about the Liver King Joe Rogan included, was, yes, this dude is taking steroids. It is clearly not raw meat and bull testicles or whatever it is that he's eating, and just the ancestral way, right? Like, that is clearly not what that guy was doing. And kind of for one of the first times in my recent memory, we finally have the proof in the pudding, right? We have we all thought he lied, and somebody got a hold of the information that proves that he did. And to the point, at least, where he had to come out and make some sort of cursory apology. And that's just hilarious to me. And I'm glad it was Derek, because Derek is he studies things, and he looks into the clinical trials of things and the FDA studies and all this other stuff in his videos that he posts. So there's this idea behind him that he's not lying to you, right? Derek wouldn't lie and say, oh yeah, no, I have these emails from the Liver King saying he did steroids, and then not actually have them, right? So, and I think even in the video, he posted the content of those emails, or at least the important parts of it, for all of us to see. So again, it's so funny that we finally caught somebody, because yeah, it's just I think it's great. I don't know. I don't like people who are false like that. That's why I appreciate people like Derek and another one on TikTok, I believe, is really big, Noel Diesel, who have never shied away from the fact of what they're doing to their bodies, right? They're not advertising it as this is what everyone should be doing, like some people do. But they're also not hiding it from you. They're not saying, hey, no, I don't do that at all. No, they tell you straight up, no, I'm on gear, or I'm on whatever this stuff is, and it comes with all the warning labels as well. They're the first ones to tell you all about all the side effects and everything. So anyway, that's the gym vlog, lifestyle update, or health update. Lifestyle? I don't know. That's the gym vlog for the week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, if you want to see more of this content, like, comment, subscribe down below, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. And as always, I'm your host, the American Viking. Have a great day.